Well, first of all, gentlemen, thanks very much for agreeing to do the interview this afternoon. You're in Norway and you're looking to find industry partners for your company's product. What sort of partners are you actually looking to find in Norway?
I don't know if we're looking to find specific partners. What we're trying to do is explain the lessons that we learned in the Gulf, and we actually collaborated with quite a few different companies, from skimming companies to boom companies to boat companies to membrane technology companies and filters and a lot of different things. So I think that our piece of equipment by itself is not a standalone piece of equipment. It comes with partnering with other technologies, not maybe specific companies or maybe a wide range of companies. So it's a combination of a package of a lot of things that make our oil recovery response program extremely efficient.
Okay, but I mean, do you need to perhaps have people who can help you with technical development, let's say, or sales development in this region, for example?
Well, I think in terms of sales, potentially. In terms of how the implementation of the product would happen in Norfolk and with the government and with other oil companies up here, I think that's definitely an opportunity that we want to explore. I think Norway's been a leader in the industry worldwide in terms of oil response, and we feel like we have something that's maybe an added value. And technologies, Norway's keen for its advancements in technology and where they stay on top of the world in terms of leaders in oil recovery and oil response. And so with this addition of technology, we feel like we're added value.
Okay. So moving on from that, what do you think, for example, in Norway, offshore operators or should carry this equipment on their rigs, drilling rigs, for example?
Absolutely. Maybe on their rigs, but also on boats that may be first line of defense, so that if there is an issue in terms of tapping a reservoir or a field, at that time it's one of those critical moments, and if there is response capability, it takes some of the fear out of the drilling, and it also I think is environmentally respectful to be prepared.
Okay, Mr. Costner, you said that you got involved in environmental protection in a big way after the Exxon Valdez disaster some few years ago now. Can you talk about how that moved you to get into this kind of environmental protection work?
Yeah, I'd been seeing kind of a reoccurring images, and I think we all had. And sometimes in life, we look at something, and we're looking at it like everyone else does. And I'm almost like a lazy teenager. I just looked at it. And then one day it felt like the scales came off my eyes. And I thought, the people who are handling this spill, standing on the shore with hay, are handling it the same way they handled, I think, 5 years ago. And believe it or not, I think they're handling it the same way they handled it 10 years ago. And I think that for the last 30 or 40 years, all I've ever seen with an oil spill is citizens who didn't cause it at all are on the beach with hay. And it kind of, like I said, the scales kind of fell off my eyes, and I thought, that's odd. And at the same time, my life was from a financial perspective, I had, I was comfortable, and I thought, I would love to see if there's a solve here, because it seems to me the moon was too smart for me, getting to the moon, right? But oil and water, I thought, why? What is this hay business? And I did think that there was a solve there. And you know what? It is complicated, and it did take an army of scientists and engineers. But I felt like I was the cheerleader. I felt like I was the fundraiser. I felt like I was somebody that didn't want the group to lose focus. And so on the basis of that, I didn't know where we were going to end up, but we did end up with a very robust machine that was capable of working in the harshest conditions. And I was hoping that industry and governments alike would see that, and they didn't. And when they didn't, I don't think I probably used my celebrity the way a lot of people would if they thought they'd lost over $20 million. I kind of just went, wow, you know. So I did, and it's taken yet another disaster to bring it to the forefront. And this time I don't feel like being so quiet.
Okay, because I mean, you said that you were moved by what's happened in the Gulf of Mexico back in April. What was going through your head then when you first heard about that?
I had two distinct thoughts. At first, I was very sad. I didn't know if I should just keep shuffling along the sidewalk because I knew that they weren't going to put my equipment out there. But then we got a call.
From BP?
But yeah, well, there was a call from people who had seen the equipment in trade shows 10 years ago and said, "Oh my God, do you remember that?" And suddenly 2 or 3 people said, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do." And the phone call went out. And so I went from being reluctant to the reality that I knew exactly what was going to happen, and which was this oil was going to make its way to the beach, and people were going to be with straw, in this instance, human hair, and all kinds of things. And I saw everybody going on the television, and I didn't go on. I was real sad about it. But we went down there, and we came to this fight late, and our company, formed an alliance with Eric, and Eric became the leading authority on my machine. And thank God for him, because he was able to go down there and put the machine in a variety of situations, all of which would have failed, I think, any other piece of equipment. And Eric and a group of other men working 24 hours a day, it seemed, started coming up with solves. And every time we came up against a problem, the machine and the men behind it solved it.
Eric, can you just talk briefly about the technology that this solution offers to the industry, please?
Yeah. Really what the centrifuge does is it makes oil spill recovery a much more efficient, much more effective process. The two things that we see happening is we're able to take up whatever ratio of oil and water comes up through the booms and the skimmers, and we can separate the two. So the oil goes to storage on board the recovery vessels, and then the water actually, in some cases in the Gulf, went to a secondary treatment process where we polished it off to have extremely low levels of hydrocarbons remaining in the water, sufficient to meet any environmental standards that we know of.
What sort of environmental standard can your equipment meet?
So the combination of the centrifuge with the membrane technology that we put in place in the Gulf was designed to guarantee below 15 parts per million oil left in the water. And in tests that we ran, we actually found in some cases that there was non-detectable hydrocarbons in the water.
So you could drink the water that your machine processes?
Well, to the extent that you could drink seawater, perhaps. But I'm a surfer, and I can tell you that's not a very good drink.
Okay. How much R&D has gone into this product?
I'll let Kevin answer that question.
You're on record as sinking $20 million into this.
About $24 million after taxes.
Okay, so and BP has now ordered 32 of these machines to help clean up the U.S. Gulf spill.
Right.
Are you going to get your $24 million back?
I think if the machine has a chance to speak for itself, and it will, then I think that this could be down the road a happy ending. But I never went into it thinking that that's what this was going to be about. I was always in the solve business. I always feel like if you try to do, if you try to do the thing that moves you, I think it will always take care of you. And from a financial standpoint, I guess a true businessman would never have gone the way I would. They look at the bottom line, they look at the end game. I just looked at the problem and felt that we could solve it. I'm not a crusader. I'm not a white horse. But I do come at things that way. I come at things emotionally. And I found that has served my life pretty well most of the time. There was a point where, I could look really foolish to a lot of people that I've spent so much money and look what you had to show for it. I never really feel that way. I guess in the shadows of my life when I'm not around anybody, I think that's foolish and why did I do that? But in some way, this circle's closing for me and it's closing for my friends, and hopefully it's it's an ending that I wanted to write a long time ago.
Do you think the oil industry's got a bit complacent about